We're in the kitchen. This is Sewing Back if you're new here. Welcome. Today is what we like to call one of Brandy's Johnny free days. And what does that mean? That means Johnny's gone. He's in the office today. And it is kind of the time where I get to do a lot of little projects around the house or cleaning, like vacuuming, things that may be cause noise and things that I may not be able to do when he's here working from home, because he often has lots of meetings and stuff like that. So I do look forward to my Johnny free days. I love Johnny, but it is nice to have time just to be in my home, to work at my own pace and kind of order my day as I want. And I think he appreciates having those office days as well, because a lot of times he gets face-to-face things done that he needs to do, and that allows him to have his at-home days. So with that, I wanted to make him something special. I have two projects today. The first one is the special thing for him. The second thing is we're going to take the remainder of our half a bushel apples and we're going to can apple pie filling. I'm going to show you how to do that. All you need is a water bath canner for that, so you don't need a pressure canner. And we're going to be using something new to me, which is Clear Jel. I have not ventured in that realm before, so that'll be new, so we'll be learning it together. Hopefully it'll turn out well. I have in that bowl, I measured on my scale, I have a little about 9.5 pounds of apples. So as I get to peeling them, I'll know if I can double the recipe or if I need to stick to the original recipe, which makes roughly about 4 quart jars of the apple pie filling. I'm kind of hoping that I can double it, because then I figure I'll probably end up being able to can 7, and I could put 1 in the fridge and make an apple pie maybe in the next week. And I've had that request by one of my sons, so that's kind of what I'm thinking on that. But I really won't know until I start peeling those apples, getting them sliced, to know if I'm going to have enough. Because it's a little bit different than when we did our apple butter. I'm not going to be using my peeler. That's too thin. These need to be nice pieces. So I'm actually going to I'm going to peel them old-fashioned way, and I'm going to use my little apple where it'll slice them and it will core it, and that's how I'm going to do it. So that gets me to the first thing that we're going to start with today. And because I want it going before I start peeling all those apples. And what that is I found this recipe. It is called an apple butter pie. So hopefully you see my video. I tried a new apple butter this year. I used the Ball Book of Home Preserving. I used their sweet cider apple butter recipe. I did tweak it to add a few things of my own, and this is like my new all-time favorite apple butter. So this is one of the ones I put in the refrigerator. I used the other one up making oatmeal bakes, which we think that one has made one of the best oatmeal bakes. It's delicious, and so matter of fact, it's getting close to being gone. And that's kind of been our breakfast for this week. So I have this one left in the refrigerator, so I haven't broke into any on my shelf yet. And I won't need all of this. So let me tell you what the recipe calls for. It calls for 1 pie crust, which I gotta roll out my pie crust. This is sourdough pie crust. So I gotta roll that out. You need 2 large eggs beaten, a half of a cup of sugar, half of a cup of the apple butter, 2 tablespoons of cornstarch, or you could use xanthan gum, 1 teaspoon of cinnamon. I'm also using 1 teaspoon of apple pie spice. You can see that. And you need 2 cups of full fat milk. And so I have this whole, this was one of my Azure ones, and it's got the fat on the top. So it's 6% milk fat. So this one, it says for the best pie, you want to be using full fat. So I'm going to use that milk, and I'm going to do a teaspoon of vanilla. So that is what this recipe is. You bake it at 375 for 1 hour. And it is supposed to be similar to a custard. It's kind of like a custard pie meets an apple pie is what I read. And I thought, my husband loves custard. And so I thought he would really appreciate this and like this. So I want to give it a try. All right, my name is not Betty Crocker. And I don't know what it is about rolling out pizza dough, pies, but as I said, I'm not Betty Crocker. I don't know how she did it, but goody for her that she did. So all I can do is just do the best that I can. I'm trying to get it up on my rolling pin, and we're going to try to move the pie plate over here. We're just going to lay it over this. And I remember when I was like in home economics, they always told us that if you got little tears and stuff, you could put a little water and kind of mash it down to fix the seam. So I think I got that down in there pretty good. Alright, so now comes the fun part. I'm not very good at this. I think what I want to do is I want to tuck it. I want to go around and just tuck that under. My Graham is such a better bake. I think I do good at making like the savory foods, not a fantastic sweet bakery kind of thing. Okay. Alright, so I think you just want to kind of go like that. This one does not need a top cover type for this type of pie. Thank the Lord. I don't think I'm much better at those either. But I also know my husband. He honestly won't care what it looks like if it tastes good. Okay, well, not too bad. Now, I have always been told you take a fork and put some holes in the bottom. If that's not true, you'll have to tell me. So that's what I got there. So now that we got, that's the hard part. The hard part's over. Yay! I did get some dough on that. I'll clean that off in a minute. Alright, so we need a mixing bowl. Let me get a mixing bowl. Sorry, I had everything else out. Alright, so I have my mixing bowl here. So we are going to get half a cup. Actually, let me go ahead and do my eggs first. It says 2 large eggs. Luckily, a couple of my girls lay really large eggs. Because they're supposed to be beaten. Alright. That looks good. Alright, so next we're supposed to do half a cup of sugar. Okay, half a cup. My organic sugar. Mix that in there. I'm going to go ahead and put in my vanilla. Now the original recipe that I saw, they did not have vanilla. And they also didn't have the apple pie spice, they just had cinnamon. Looks pretty. Alright, so now I'm going to go ahead and we're going to get our half a cup of, let me see, yeah, gosh, that smells so good. Half a cup of the apple butter. That looks so good. So good. Okay. So I got that. We still need our cornstarch and our heavy milk. We're going to use 2 cups of the milk. A little knife here. Actually, I'll use my fork. We want some of that heavy cream on top to go into the pie. Okay. That's 1 cup. We need another cup. Okay. 2 cups of the heavy fat milk. I think you could probably use half and half if you wanted to. If you were trying to do this, I think I would use like a coconut cream milk if you were trying to keep this more vegan, vegetarian. That looks really pretty. Okay. So now we need to add our apple pie spice. We need 1 teaspoon of this. Now the original recipe called for cinnamon. So I'm gonna put a little cinnamon as well. I just like adding the apple pie. I think it gives a different depth of flavor. So I'm going to put maybe half of a teaspoon of cinnamon. And then the last thing we have to add in here is our cornstarch. I do not currently have any arrowroot or xanthan gum. You could use those as your thickeners, and a lot of people prefer those because I think most that I've seen, most cornstarches are made from genetically engineered corn. And so FYI, I have it, I'm using it. I've used it before. I don't use it often. And there's that. So you need a tablespoon, 2 tablespoons. And now you have to really get this incorporated well. I don't know. Custards, I'm like, I can take them or leave them. My husband loves them. That's why I said this is more for him. But I'll be interested to see what it tastes like. And mine will have a few little pieces in it because I did not puree my apple butter. I just let it slowly cook down till it just kind of fell apart. And then that was the consistency I like. I like having a little bit of the pieces in there. And if you don't, then you would just use an immersion blender to take care of that. That's just my preference. So this one will have a little bit of small pieces of apple to it, but I don't think that should change anything. And if this turns out really well, I may make this for Thanksgiving. Who knows? I may make this with a pumpkin pie. Alright, so I'm going to put this over here. We're going to move our apple pie over, and we're going to pour our filling into our pan. I just need a spatula. I'm just going to pour this in. And my pie really made like a deep dish, which I think is good because if I remember correctly, custards, I think they kind of rise up a little bit and then they can kind of fall down a little bit. I don't know. I don't know if they're supposed to, but I do think they kind of rise up or poof up. I don't know if those are technical terms. Let's move that here. Because that's a lot of pie crust for what it made, but that's okay. We're gonna cook it. Let me move that back. I'm gonna put it in this oven that's been preheating for on 375. I have that on my convection bake in my oven. It's supposed to cook about an hour. I'm gonna go ahead and get it going, and then I plan to. I'll probably do like tin foil over the top, not to burn the crust all up as the insides cook. So I will certainly show you what it looks like when it comes out. And so let me get this mess cleaned up. I'll be back in a minute and we'll start doing our apples for our apple butter, not apple butter, our apple pie filling. Okay, y'all, I told you I wasn't a Betty Crocker. But this is from scratch. I made every part of this from scratch, and it probably would have been prettier if I bought the crust. I did tint it. It's like where you just take the tin foil and cut the center out. Trying to keep it from burning, or he'll get to try it. And it's okay if he has a chuckle at how it looks. It's okay if y'all chuckle along. I'm laughing. So again, real food from scratch does not always turn out like Martha Stewart or Betty Crocker. It turns out wonky and lopsided and sometimes burnt, and that's okay. That's how you learn. And I guarantee you, if this tastes good and I make it again, it'll look better next time. And it won't be because I bought a store-bought crust. It'll be because I'll keep working at it. And so anyway, All right, so I was trying to figure out my 9.5 pounds of apples, if I have enough to double my recipe, and it appears that I will have just enough. So this was roughly about six this size apple, and that is the equivalent of roughly about 4 cups, and to double the recipe I needed 24 cups of apples. So I've got these sliced. I'm going to put these in a water lemon juice solution so they don't brown up, and I'm going to keep going until I get the rest of these done peeled. I did blanch them for 1 minute. I did not turn on the camera for that. So it's just, you know, water, hot water, you put them in the hot water for a minute, you pull them out. I have a towel over it to try to keep them warm while I do the Clear Jel part of the pie filling. I also have my water bath canner heating up so that once we get this done, we can jar it up and we can get it into the water bath canner. This has to process for 25 minutes. So, but you don't have to pressure can, so that's a nice, you don't have to have really any special equipment. All right, so I need 5 cups of sugar. I'm using organic sugar. This is a lot of sugar. 1, 2, 3. So we're going to say that's 4. And it actually calls for, I'm working off of 2 different recipes, and then I saw one calls 5.5, the other calls for 6, and they both kind of say it's to preference. So I'm going with 5 because I don't want, I'd rather cut down on the sugar a little bit if I can. So this is cup 5. Alright, so that's 5 cups of sugar, and we're going to go with that. Alright, so then I need to add, I'm going to do 2 tablespoons of apple pie spice. I'm still going to do a teaspoon of just cinnamon, and I am going to add, because my apple pie spice doesn't have any ginger, I'm going to do half. I'm doing about half of a teaspoon of ginger. If you love ginger, you may want more of that. Trying to see, my one recipe doesn't call for ginger, the other does, so we went with half the amount that was recommended. So we've got this in here. The next part we need is, we need the Clear Jel, and we're going to need 1.5 cups. Then I have another recipe that says 2 cups of Clear Jel. I'm going with the 1.5 cups of the Clear Jel. I've never used this, so this one will be new for me. And so we're going to do the 1, I need my measuring cup. There it was. Alright, so we're going to do 1. This stuff looks like baby powder. So we're going to do, I don't know if that's quite, yeah, I guess that's 1. And we're going to do another one. Oh, well, there we go. I got confused, but it wasn't 2 full cups, so that's okay. Alright, I'm making a mess. I'm glad I didn't do floors today. All right, so I've got to put this in here. Let me get a spoon. I know the next part is we need, one says 7.5 cups of liquid, the other says 8. And one of them has all water, one of them has a mixture of water and apple juice. And so I'm just trying to mix this up. So I think I am going to do 4 cups of water to 4 cups of apple juice. Let's see what happens. And I'm using distilled water. I don't know if you have to, but whenever I'm canning, fermenting, something like that, I want to use something to that level. So that's 1, 2, 3, I think I want a little over there. Okay, just a little bit. 4. And if my counting out loud bothers you, I apologize. I taught first grade for a very long time. I learned to count all the time. We always counted everything. So that's just how it goes. So now we're going to do 4 cups of apple juice. Okay, so that was close enough. And what we're supposed to do is we're supposed to bring this up, stirring constantly. I don't know if I'm going to use this wood spoon now. Stirring constantly. Actually, I think I want a whisk. You don't need a full rolling boil. Alright, so we got a cup of lemon juice there. Because the lemon juice is kind of the last thing you add. So let me bring you in so you can see what it looks like. And so I'm just going to keep stirring this, and when we get that boil, I will come back on, show you what that looks like, because then we're going to add in our lemon juice, cook for another minute, fold in our apples, and then start putting them in our jars. Pretty easy so far. The hardest part's peeling all those apples. This stuff looks almost like caramel. I don't know if it's supposed to look like that. Well, I do know. It is, this stuff is something. But I did get a couple boil. I turned it down a little bit. See, you can see it pop up. And now I'm going to add in my cup of lemon juice. And I'm supposed to cook it for 1 more minute. And then at that point, I'm supposed to try to fold in the apples. Start getting the apples, and they still seem to be having some heat on them, but I don't want none of the water. Let's see. Woo, it's hot. I'm turning this off. I guess you gotta be fast. To fold in some. Okay, let's get some more. And I have my water heating up over here. Let's fold in some more. I hope this tastes good. This would be a lot of work if it didn't taste good. But my one son loves apple pie. He has discovered he loves apple pie. And he has been asking me to make him an apple pie. And I made an apple crisp, but I tried to do it with using like keto-friendly sweeteners, stevia, Truvia, stuff like that. And it was almost like cement. And we ate some of it. We couldn't eat all of it. It was a bit much. I'm sorry about the scraping. If you hate scraping, I don't like scraping. I'm trying to get it out. Okay. We're going to see if that'll work. Okay. Now let's see if we can fold in all of these apples. I just gotta wipe it with some vinegar. I've already debubbled it. And it's fingertip tight. This one has to go in the middle. Where's my little tongy things? Here they are. So this is what it looks like before processing. I think it's really pretty. And I'm going to sit this in here. I'm prepared. I have water in my kettle in case I need to add water. I'm hoping it doesn't overflow. I'm a little nervous. I don't want to burn myself, so let me show you. What it looks like in my water bath canner. Now again, if you're using, you have to be able to have a couple inches over the head of, oh gosh, these are heavy, over the head space. Okay, and let me get my little thingy. I think it looks okay. I think it's probably an inch. Let's see. That's 1 inch. So I'm going to add some water. I'm going to bring it up to a boil. It's really already at a boil, but I want to add some water. It's handy to have a tea kettle. So if you don't have a pot this tall and you don't do quarts, you would just do pints. Because you want that 2 inches of head space up above. And now I'm going to close this off. I'm going to turn on my vent hood, so I'm going to turn the camera off. Once it starts at a rolling boil, I will set my timer for 25 minutes. And when it finishes, I'll show you what it looks like. Okay guys, my timer just dinged. I'm going to move my lid. Oh, sorry. I'm going to pull one up just to show you what it looks like, but these are going to sit for a little bit, probably about 30 minutes before I want to let them out. But it is time for dinner. So that is what it, ooh, that is pretty. Yes, so that's what they look like. I haven't heard the pings begin, so I'll be waiting to listen for those. When they cool and I pull them out, I'll include a picture in that. But this recipe I made ended up making 7 quarts of apple pie filling. I will put what I did in the description. I will point you to one of them. I have a website that I was following. The other was didn't have a formal recipe. I just saw it and kind of wrote down what they did, and but then I kind of melded the two. So I'll just write down what I did. I will link the one that had the recipe. Johnny, are you excited about your pie?
I was.
You was.
Yeah, I am.
I hope it comes out.
Oh, it'll come out.
It's gonna come out, huh? One way or the other.
Oh, it'll be out of there.
Ooh.
Ooh, set up nice.
Okay.
I'm gonna tell the truth.
All right, I want you to tell the truth.
It's not bad. It tastes kind of like a pumpkin pie.
Well, it's supposed to be apple.
Well, it tastes like apples too. Tastes good to me.
How's the crust?
Flake.
Flaky. Okay.
Did you make that with Crisco?
No, I didn't. It was all butter
Little Hungry Jack.
and sourdough. It's a
Hungry.
Oh gosh. All right. So you like it? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you. It's good.
You're welcome.
Delicious.